Now, first of all, let us see how many people like legal maxims and how many people don't like them. Mr. Amol, whatever Mr. Amol, Mr. Amol Sampat Rao Ram Teke.
Yes, sir. I'm a final year student of law, and I am following you on LinkedIn from last 3 4 years, and it's
Interesting,
yes.
interesting.
Yeah. For me, I'm a chemical engineer from 20 years experience. Now I'm doing law. So legal maxim, I really love it. But my question, and I was always fascinated, like why they are so much used in a courtroom or in pleadings or in a written statement.
Let us start like that. Mr. Ramteke, of course, you said that you were a chemical engineer and you had 20 years experience, so obviously you must be at least 40, 45 years old and you're studying law. Fair enough. Now, as far as Latin maxims is concerned, you said you liked Latin maxims. I'm glad for that because I simply love them. Tell me, why do you like Latin maxims?
Why I like Latin maxim is a simple reason. Only in a few words, we can tell a lot about the context of the story.
You have been reading books on Latin maxims. That is
Uh,
that is about the first thing that all books will tell you. In a nutshell, it tells you a lot. Now, the other participants, how many of you have heard this that a Latin maxim tells you a lot in a few words? How many of you have done that? There are a lot of people in that case. There are a lot of people who don't like Latin maxims. I mean, all of us know that Latin maxim makes life easier whenever you are arguing points of law, or even when you're writing them, whether it's a plaint or what a complaint, whatever it is. But a lot of people, and I have had a lot of flack when it comes to Latin maxims. I remember one woman was really angry with me. Malvika, I don't understand why are women angry with me, not the men. She wrote and sort of insinuated that I was trying to show off my knowledge of the language. To tell you the truth, I must have studied Latin for a very short time. I compulsory at school, which was, I think, 70 years ago. I know nothing of Latin, absolutely nothing of Latin. And every time I look at a maxim, what I do is for each word, I try to find the translation in English for each word, not the whole thing, because in the whole thing, very often it gets lost when if you look up the meanings of Latin maxims on different sites, you'll get slight variations, maybe sometimes even a lot more than slight. In fact, this morning I tried a couple of them and the same thing happens. There is a slight variation because translators may have different ideas, or one word might have three or four words in translation. You might pick up the one most convenient to you. But since we are on that topic, I might as well tell you, and it's always been rankling me quite a bit. She sort of insinuated that I was trying to show off my knowledge of the language, which is not a fact. I don't know the language at all. However, I wrote back to her and said that it is not only I, but even you use use languages other than English and other than any other language which you are fluent with. But primarily in English, I said we use a lot of words like VIZ, EG, NB, QED. Excuse me. So at all times, we are using these, which are Latin or Greek words, without realizing that we are using. Now, since we are having this as I don't like to have it as a monologue. People who are listening in, I will repeat it. If you can get a pencil or a pen and a piece of paper within the next minute, we can continue. I'll tell you how we should go about it. If you have, if and especially your mobile phones, that would be of great help. Let us start with my favorite, QED. What does QED mean? Can anybody tell me off the cuff what QED means? QED, all capitals. Okay, one of you say yes and look it up while somebody else looks up another one. So if one person is with QED, we'll go to the next one. EG, which we say as for example. But what does it really mean? What is it in the language? So let us take these four or five that we've talked about. NB. I presume everybody knows NB as Noto Bene. Then there is VIZ. We talked about couple of others. What did I say? QED, EG, VIZ, NB. Let's start with these four because they are the most commonly used ones. Is there anything else that we commonly use, Divya? ETC,
The
etc.
contract languages, the
Yes.
contractual term.
Yeah. Uh, yes, that's another one. Ab initio. That of course I think everybody would know ab initio. It's Latin, but we use it without realizing that it's a foreign language. So if three or four of you can look up your mobile phones, and we can start a discussion on that. Now, Latin maxims, there, as we said in the beginning, there's a divide. Some like it, some don't. As I said, I love it. But some people are totally against it. There might be a reason why they are against it. If I were to get something like a maxim in, say, Bengali, I would naturally be annoyed. I wouldn't know what it is, and I would not want somebody to explain it to me because in that case I would be showing my ignorance. There's a good, there's an absolutely good reason for people not liking it. In fact, one American judge, I'm not very sure, but since I've not read many of them, maybe four or five of them. I think it was Cardozo who said he hated Latin maxims. There should be no Latin maxim. Of course, he also said that there should not be an and stroke or in any pleadings. It should either be and or it should either be or separate. So everybody has his own likes and dislikes. I mean, if a judge of that stature says that no Latin maxim should be used, if I were in his court, I would not use them just to be on the safe side. But if we look at our legal system, it has come to us from the Romans, quite a lot of it from the Greeks, quite a lot of it from the French, but mainly Roman. So we live by those, and we have to live by those because it makes a lot of sense using them rather than avoiding them. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've got the book right here with me. By the way, do you see the books behind me? Everybody who gives a webinar makes sure that they have books behind me. But you may not know whether it is a book case, a book stand, or it might just be a photograph, a picture. Anyway, it's the done thing these days. Whenever you give a webinar, you have behind you a lot of books to show that you are a very learned person. I am not. Anyway, we come back to Latin maxims. I will show you the book which I love. In fact, I gave this book out as presents to quite a number of people. If you can, it is called Latin for Lawyers. Can you see it? Latin for Lawyers. Is it legible?
Oh, yes, sir, it's visible.
It's an excellent book and more than 1,000 Latin maxims. I love reading it. This book, of course, remains over here. The one that I really keep next to my heart is one with a lot of notations in it. Almost every maxim I note down, not in the English that follows it as an explanation, but each and every word and what it means. Then, of course, I can use it in my pleadings. So, if I'm having a case with Mr. X and this comes up, I would write an X in the margin. If it were a case with Mr. B, then I would write B, or Miss Y, I would write Y, so that I would refer to those maxims in my pleadings, sometimes even in my arguments. Most of the judges are rather receptive, but we should make sure that they don't think that we're trying to show off. That could be a bit of a problem too. Now, by the way, has anybody found out the meanings of the other three or four that we talked about?
Sir, Mr. Ammadas Ghazal,
Okay, Mr. Nagib. Which one have you looked up?
ab initio, from the date of inception.
Okay, you looked up something other than what we thought you would. Fair enough. Now, which one did you look up?
Yes,
In Latin. I wasn't able to hear you very clearly.
yes, Minister.
Will you speak it out slowly? Maybe.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am from Ahmednagar, Maharashtra, Mr. Ammadas Ghazal.
Yes.
I am a second year student, na, sir.
And what have you looked up?
Sir, I like these legal maxims because it is in short and there is a very big meaning for that, sir.
Okay. Actually, Mr. Malcolm is asking, he gave you a few words, right? 4 words. So did you find the meaning? Did you Google the meaning?
Yes, sir. I know the ab initio, the word ab initio.
Ab initio, yeah. Now, ab initio, let's break it up. It's a good thing that you started with that. It's very commonly used,
Yes,
and
sir.
tell you there's a quite a link between Latin words and English words. So it becomes very initio. Initio is equivalent to initial. Initial in English means first. So ab initio would mean at the beginning, which comes first. It's very simple when you break it up. So ab initio at first, at the first instance. In court, when you say that in in this legal principles at the first instance, so you would say ab initio instead of going into all of this, and the people would understand that what you are saying is something that has been of primary significance. So you would say ab initio. I'd like you to be active participants. Anybody else who looked it up?
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Good morning, sir. Myself, Rajinder from.
yes, yes, Mr. Rajendra.
I am from Hyderabad, sir.
Yes.
Just had a glance on that. Ad hoc. Ad hoc means for this purpose only.
Oh, ad hoc.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fair enough.
Other than that, namely, sir. VAZ means that is to say or namely.
Namely.
And one
But
more.
okay, please go ahead. I'm sorry, I disturbed you. Whiz means namely. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Amol here again.
Yes.
Yes.
So we started with QED, that stands for Quad Errant Demonstratum, meanings which was to be demonstrated.
Quod erat demonstratum.
Yeah.
Quod means that which it signifies the particular thing. Erat means that which quod erat demonstratum, that which had to be proved. If I don't know whether you people still learn geometry or not, but in geometry, after you had proved a theorem and you wanted to say that now the theorem is proved, you would write QED. So quod erat demonstratum. What else? Anything else?
Mutatis mutandis.
Aji?
Mutatis mutandis.
Yes, mutatis. Will you explain that to us?
It's like comparing between the two things.
Now, shall we break it up? Shall we break up the two words?
Yes.
What
That
is it?
I can't do, sir.
What was that?
I don't know the meaning of separate words.
I thought you would look it up. I don't know what it is. Please look it up and let me know.
Okay.
That is Vitande. Please look it up and let me know. I want you to look up each word as a separate word translated from Latin into English. Somebody just now mentioned about ab initio in the same way, or like QED. Anyway, while you people are looking it up, let's start with some maxim or the other and see how easy it is to understand them and how well you can use them. Because just having a book on Latin maxim is not going to do the job for you. Read the book if you. It's not a very expensive book. I think it's only 300 and less than 300 rupees. It's an excellent book for Latin maxims. I know that at college for the examinations we have a few of them, very few in fact. This book, if you can find a lot of Latin maxims on the net also. You just write Latin maxims and you'll get so many sites. You will also find that the same maxim has got different meanings on different sites. And in fact, some of them have got it in alphabetical order. You can either download them or just save the link and go to it whenever you want. So let us now start with the book. As I said, I have read it all and I have a book that is marked. I would like you people also, if you can get this book or maybe something similar to it, and go through it. The book is also in quite a bit of the book in the beginning is on Latin. You can easily leave that out. I mean, it's too much. But then you go to it and you will find it in alphabetical order, which makes it very easy for you. Now, I purposely did not mark out anything. I said, let me see, let me open the book to any page, open the book to any page and pick out one maxim which we could then discuss and understand. Now, I have opened this book up on page 114.
Mr.
Now,
Malcolm, they're asking which book is this?
I showed it to them.
The
Latin,
author.
I'll show it to you again. I'll show it to you again. Latin for law.
Also the author. Yeah.
Is it okay? Latin. I think that it's Eastern. I think it's from Eastern. Let me see. No, from Universal. It's from Universal. Have you got it?
Yes, yes, the participant got it. Okay, please proceed.
It's an excellent book on. It's the best book on Max. I mean, we have thicker ones on Maxims also. Brooms. It's the classical one on Maxim, but I find this book a lot easier to refer to. Now I've forgotten the page. I'd opened it up anyway. I opened up another page. Now let us see here. I'll take a short one to begin with. This one says that great caution does no harm. Now, very often you find something written like, we are doing this with abundant caution. That word abundant caution comes over very regularly, especially when you're not sure of what you are doing. You say, because of abundant caution, I'm doing this, that, and the other. So now this Latin maxim refers to what is abundant caution. It says that abundas cautela, I'm a little, it's the abundus cautela non facet. Now, what it says is abundus cautela. Abundus means in abundance, a great caution, thus no harm. Abundus, the first one. Then the second word is cautela. Then the third one is, see, here I will tell you, non. Normally, in most languages, a negative starts with an N. So it does in Latin also. Abundant caution does no harm. You might say that 5 words in English and 1 word in Latin, 4 words in Latin. Where am I saving time or space? But when you speak of something as a Latin maxim, as somebody said earlier, it has a greater impact for the simple reason that most of these maxims are more than 2000 years old. A lot of them are attributed to Cicero, and Cicero, I think, was living maybe 2500 or 3000 years ago. A lot of them, he was a jurist, so a lot of them are attributed to him. There must be so many other judges and so many other people who must have thought them out. But over the ages, they have been not only condensed, but they have been filtered in such a way that they are applicable in legal pleadings regularly. If you read all of them, you will realize that almost anything that you use in your pleadings, either way, plaint or defense, complaint, whatever it is, if you read the book fully, you will find that almost every paragraph has something which is in common with a Latin maxim. When you have more than 1000 of them, I think there's 1300 of them. No, I'm sorry, mistaken. 1102. 1102. Now, when you have more than 1000 of these, invariably, you will be able to use them in your pleadings. Of course, you will be going the other way around. You would have your pleadings ready before you, and then you could use an appropriate Latin maxim to begin that paragraph so that the judge, after all, we are not there to impress the opposition or tell the opposition what is what. Our business is to impress the judge. Our business is to make sure the judge agrees with us. And most of the judges are extremely literate. You could start the paragraph with the appropriate maxim. It's like having a heading. If you have a heading in a story, right now, there's an air show going on. There are some jets flying above us. They'll be having some rescue missions. So that would be a paragraph. You will have this, that, and the other. There'll be 10 jets, 20 helicopters. It'll be here, it'll be there. But that paragraph, if you started it with air show today, would be enough to tell people that there is something going on. In the same way, I don't say that you'll be able to use it every time, but if you can use it, start the paragraph with a Latin maxim so that the judge knows exactly what you want to tell him. Very often you will come up, well, I hope you don't, but we do come across paragraphs which are rambling, same thing over and over again, or it starts with one thing, ends with another. If you can condense that paragraph into one idea, that one idea would be that one Latin maxim. Here again, For the same idea, very often you will find 3 or 4 Latin maxims. 3 or 4 of them which actually mean the same thing. If you read the book, you'll come across it. I'm sorry that I haven't marked them over here, but you will find that the same thing is repeated uh, 3 or 4 times because this book is in all Latin maxims. If you look at them, they will be alphabetical order. Because they are in alphabetical order, you will not find them bunched together. You might find something starting with an A, and then the next one will be starting with a D, and the same thing will start with an M. So you might find them. In fact, it would be a good thing if you started marking them. Because 4 or 5, you might be able to select the right one, the easiest one to understand. So it will take a bit of time to get used to Latin maxims. But I'm telling you, if you have the time, and especially those of you who are already practicing law, please read the Latin maxims. Not only in this book, you can read them anywhere else, in any other book. And you will find that in whatever case you are handling at the moment, you will find excellent Latin maxims for that. And not only will you find Latin maxims, you will also find a very expanded meaning. So you might be able to change your readings accordingly. Having read it, you might say, and this is that and the other. And then you find an appropriate Latin maxim for that. And the Latin maxim expands on what you want to say. Or maybe in English uses the most correct words. We are, of course, not experts at any language whatsoever. You might be able to incorporate those words. So you'll have the Latin maxim at the beginning of the paragraph, you'll have the substance in the paragraph, and somewhere or the other, you might be able to explain according to what you have read in a book or on the net. Finally, you could even have a Latin maxim at the end. Explain everything. Now, somebody said QED, quod erat demonstrandum. It's a very, we learned it because we did it at school, and that was 70 years ago. Quod erat demonstrandum. Now, you are to prove a point in your pleadings. Maybe 3 or 4 paragraphs, you go through them. This is this, what has happened, this is it, this has happened, that has happened. This is why it should be so. This one said this, that one refuted that, etc., etc. And you come to the end of the paragraph. And then finally you say, according to me, this is it. QED. I have proved what. Imagine the effect it would have. QED at the end of your pleadings or at the end of that particular material that you want. Tell the judge, this is it. QED, I have proved what I wanted to prove. So don't be scared of using them. Use them wisely and try to use them not frequently and without any meaning, but try to use them because it will give a lot of impact to your pleadings. Even while you're on your feet and arguing the matter verbally, you can always go back to 1 or 2 of these Latin maxims and then explain them in greater detail. Use the maxim, explain the maxim to the judge, and then he or she will understand what you are trying to tell them. So, I'm not saying that all judges will know all Latin maxims. No one in the world will be able to do it unless you're writing a book on it. But the commoner ones will always be very helpful. Now, another one which normally comes up in our pleadings is I won't tell you what it is in English, but I will tell it to you what it is. Nemo debet, quod non habet. It's one that comes up very regularly. Now, would anybody like to tell me what it means? Anyone? Nemo debet, quod non habet.
The literal meaning of this maxim is that nobody can be judged or nobody can be adjudicate anything regarding himself.
Now, will you please come again on that? I'm sorry. I think it was a bit garbled.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
Clearly?
perfect. Perfect.
So the literal meaning of this maxim is that nobody can adjudicate or nobody can be judged in his own case, or he cannot adjudicate a matter in which he is involved financial.
You just got the first 2 words, which said that nobody can be a judge in his own cause.
Yeah.
That's also a very common one. But when you say nemo debit, what non-habet? The first one, nemo, as you rightly said in the other one also, it start with nemo. That means no one. Nemo in Latin means no one. Remember that. It will come regular. Nemo debit. Now, if I tell you credit and debit, what would credit mean in your account and what would debit mean in your account? Now, Mr. Khan,
Okay, yeah.
now when I say credited to your account, what would it mean?
It means that it goes to your
I credit 100 rupees to your account. What does that mean?
means it I send it to your
100 rupees. I would say debited from your account, not you, but debited from your account. What would it mean?
means
I've
it
taken it away.
loss. Means loss, yeah, take it. Yes.
Yes, you've taken it away. Something has been taken away from. So Nemo,
Yeah.
no one can debit it from his account. That means take away. Quad non-habet. Quad again. Remember, quad demonstratum. Quad means which. Nobody can give what he does not have. Nemo debit. Quad non. Again a negative. Non-habet. Non-habet is to own, to have.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, all our English words will come from either French or Latin, or maybe some of them from Greek. Nemo, debit, quod, non, habet. Now, if you break up each word, you will understand the Latin maxim perfectly. And not only that, it becomes interesting. Each and every maxim, if you break it up, what I do is, whenever I come across a Latin maxim, I write over each word in English.
Okay.
Maybe the sequence may not be the same, but when I write each word in English, I understand what each word really means. So nemo debit, what non-habit. There is
So,
another.
Mr. Malcolm, how would we use this in a petition? There are many advocates. So, while drafting, yeah.
I wrote it on LinkedIn just yesterday, I think. Just yesterday, I wrote it on LinkedIn. There's a fellow called Agarwal who has these videos, Ashish Agarwal. He's on videos every day. They were talking about marital discord, Mia Bibi ka jagra. Normally, and it is very incorrect on the part of the advocates, not a part of the litigants. Normally, the wife asks for something from the husband. Of course, under Hindu law, it can be the other way around. But it is presumed that the husband has a lot more than the wife. So, when there are divorce proceedings, and this also, fortunately, the judges are Mia Bibi ka jagra. Normally, the wife asks for the moon. As I said, unfortunately, the advocates encourage that. Totally incorrect. Totally incorrect. If a wife is used to public transport, the husband also uses public transport. In the divorce petition, she will ask for a BMW. If the fellow is earning 50,000 rupees a month, she will ask for maintenance of 2 lakhs a month. The thinking being that if I ask for 2 lakhs, I'll get 1 lakh, which is wrong. Judges are smart. We have matters like that where the judge is informed very honestly, you must not hide anything, very honestly of what the income of the spouse is, and then decide what to give to the wife or the husband. Normally, it's the wife, what to give to the wife. So, if I'm earning a lakh of rupees and my wife who is going to divorce me wants 2 lakhs of rupees, where do I get it from? I know there are judges who say, I don't care, you will have to get it from somewhere. Otherwise, I'll put you in jail. My own plumber is going through something like that. I know how much he earns. And the other side wants maybe 10 times of what he's earning. And the magistrate said, if you don't pay, I'll put you in jail. So the other day he said to us, he says, I don't mind going to jail for 6 months or 1 year. At least mera jaan chutega. Now they are asking him for something that he doesn't have. So I don't know. You just look me up on LinkedIn. I think yesterday or maybe the day before, just 1 or 2 days. There is this thing by Agarwal, and I have written Nemo debit what non-habit. Means how can a person give what he does not have? So now instead of going through the whole rigmarole and giving them explanations, this, that, and the other, I tell the judge or the magistrate, my lord, Nemo debit what none have it. How can I give what I do not have? Malvika, does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Now ask me another one. Let's see if we can fit it into some pleadings, either mine or imaginary or something that might come up. You think of any other Latin maxim and ask. We'll try and put it in. Something that is commonly used. I wish Divya were here.
Res ipsa loquitur.
What is it?
The thing speaks for itself.
Yes.
Res ipsa loquitur.
You should not have said. You should not have given the explanation. Loquitur. Do you know what a loquacious woman is? I'm not saying man. I'm being a little bit sexist here, but do you know what a loquacious woman means? Okay, what a loquacious lawyer means. What do you mean by loquacious lawyer?
Don't know.
Loquacious, if you look it up in your English dictionary, means somebody who talks a lot.
So all lawyers, mostly all lawyers are loquacious then.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Very good, very kind of you. Here I'm giving a seminar and you're making fun of me. Okay, we'll go ahead with it. Yes, we are paid to talk. We are not paid to talk too much because you can lose a case by talking too much. Anyway, so loquitur. That what that maxim says is the words speak for themselves. Okay, fair enough. Now, since you brought this up, I remember. But of course, I did not use it. I was pulled up by the judge before that. It was a very big and dangerous case. As usual, we are in defense. I hate being the plaintiff. We were in defense. The other side had asked for a very big amount, something astronomical. Debit quod non habet. It was in the pleadings. But when I got up to argue for the defense, I said to the judge, I said, my lord, I will start with a question. He was annoyed. He shouted at me, I'm not here to answer your questions. So I said, but my lord, my question will answer itself. I should have used a Latin maxim. It didn't strike me at that time. But what I'm saying speaks for itself. My question speaks for itself. My question itself is the answer. Fair enough? Come on.
One participant is asking actus facit per alium facit per se. How do you make use of this?
Actis. What does actis mean? Something that you do?
Yes, action probably.
Actis or something. Facet. Facet is very similar to facile. Yes, tell me.
So may I ask a question? Actually, I am a HR professional and I see that there are a lot of legal terms and Latin words used in HR disciplinary proceedings when we are dealing with employee relations, like suo motu inquiry, de novo inquiries, and sir, if you could just explain common.
Suo motu.
Yes.
Now, motu means, you know what motor means? Motor, think of motor car, a car means a carriage.
Yes.
Motor means movement.
Yes.
A move. Suo motu. Suo means self. Moto means movement, an act.
Yes, sir.
Suo motu. It's not that very difficult, I tell you. If you
Yes,
think
sir, when you're breaking it down, it really makes it easier to understand and remember also. So please continue to explain because we are really engaged in your discussion.
Don't just think of it, learning it by rote, learning it by heart. Don't think of it that way. If you come across a word, try to break it down and understand. Now, like suo motu, self-motivated.
Yes.
It's English. Suo motu is English, not really Latin. Suo motu, self-motivated.
Yes.
So most of these.
Any other Latin maxims that you know which are commonly used in HR words or with employee relations?
Really, I am 82 years old, and in our time we did not have anything called HR. The only thing in my time, HR was a college.
Yes.
Beyond that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
But lady, I can understand people. I'm glad that even in HR readings, people are using Latin words. Obviously, they are familiar with them. But over a period of time, I think the commonly known words would would become known to you very easily. Don't don't try to avoid them. If I mean, there's always a possibility I can pick up a book and 90% I won't know what is what. I will have to read it up. So don't just push it aside. Try and find out what the words really mean. And
Yes.
sometimes you might find that they are using Latin maxims, which are totally irrelevant. Be careful of that also. Just because you want to use something in Latin doesn't mean that you use it. It could be irrelevant too. But what other words do you come across? Maybe we can discuss on those.
Mostly they are for employee relations when we are doing a disciplinary inquiry. So like we have de novo inquiries and
The novo. The novo.
huh.
Now, in French it would be the, in Latin it would be the, because Latin is a very phonetic language. In fact, when we okay, first we'll talk about the novo, and then we'll go to the word ratio.
Yes.
The novo, the means the in most of the languages, and novo is again new. Whether it is in French, whether it is in English, whether it is everywhere, you'll find novo, and even in Hindi, Gujarati, navu, naya, the novo. If the is the, novo is new. I see no reason why anybody should even be worried about those two words. The, thank you for, I mean, you have jogged my memory today. I had also taken it to mean yes, but today when you bring it up, I said to myself that the means the, and novo is new. No, whether it is new, newer, novo, naya, naveen, everything. It's new. So the novo, absolutely
Yes.
correct. Come
Yes,
on,
sir. Yes.
it's getting to be interesting. Let's go into another maxim. Anyway, I've got something. While you're at it, I wanted to talk with you about this word ratio. Now, Latin is a very phonetic language. It's very much unlike English, where you read something in one place and it sounds quite different in another place. Now, this word ratio that we use, um, in my reading, it should be ratio, being phonetic. But because ratio is also a word that is used in English regularly, we use the word ratio. My reading of this is it should be ratio because, as I said, being very phonetic. Anyway, now let's go to some other words, some other things, some other maxims. Because obviously we can't discuss each and every maxim that is available. But let us do something whereby we get used to using them and used to understanding them, using them effectively in your case. So let's come up with something else, please. The person was asking me this one. Actus legis, nemini, facit, injurium. We'll take one word at a time. Actus. What does actus mean? An act, something you do. It's English. Actus is English. An act is actus. Actus legis. Legis is law. Legislature. It's law. So actus legis. An act in law. Actus legis. Nemini facit. I'm using the words together. Nemini facit. Now, facit could mean facile, easy, or it could be manufacture, like factory. FACT in a factory would be manufacturing. So, to make it up. Here, the word facet means to make up. So, what does it say? Actus. Well, I missed the word. Fair enough. Sorry. Actus legis nemini facit injurium. Actus means an act in law, actus legis. Neminem facit, that means will not make in an injury. An act in law can injure no man. Shall I repeat it? Actus legis, an act in law. Neminem facit, will not manufacture. Neminem facit, will not manufacture an injury to the person, injurium. An act in law will hurt nobody. I think that was the one somebody wanted to discuss but was not very audible. Am I correct? There's a very
Yes, Mr. Malcolm.
there's a very similar one in that. I'm not very sure. Actus legis nemo gravabit, which says that it's almost the same thing, which says that nothing in law can hurt a person. Gravabit, again, if you look at it in English, gravity, a hurt, something very serious. So, as I said, you can find the same meaning in 3 or 4 maxims. That nothing that the, no, just 1 minute. Actus curiae, neminem gravabit. An act of the court can hurt no one. Actus curiae. Curiae means the court. So an act of the court cannot hurt anybody. Now, we're coming on to that. One Latin maxim after the other. Now, please, I want to hear from you. I can open up the book and read all of them, but I want to hear from you. Yes, please tell me. What did you find?
Sir, once again, Amol here. Actually, I have a club of questions. I find it very difficult to pronounce the Latin maxims. So how to improve that thing? And second, it is technically not possible to, summarize or learn all the maxim. So is there a way to master the maxim like we understand by reading it? It's like an English idioms, okay? So I just want to know how I can master the maxims.
Mr. Amol, I'm 82 years old. When you ask me so many questions together, I find it difficult. Let us start with the first thing. What was the first question that you asked?
I find it very difficult to pronounce the Latin maxims,
No,
sir.
that's why I was talking about ratio and ratio. Latin is a very phonetic language. This book will also tell you in the first 100 pages or so how to pronounce Latin, how to speak it. But it is now actus. It is not actus or actus, just as it is written. It's very phonetic. Actus legis, legis, legis. So
Yes. Okay.
you don't have to worry about the pronunciations. Maybe somebody might find that you're pronouncing it funnily, but that is because he doesn't know, not you. If you read it from a book, like we were doing right now, facit, FACIT. If it were FA double CIT, it would be facit in Latin, but it's FACIT, facit. So read it just as you would read normal English. It will be easier to read Latin than it is to read English, because in English the pronunciation, now knife. It's actually originally, I believe so. I'm not very sure, but my mother used to tell me this, that it was knife, and then in pronunciation we dropped the K, but you still write the K, KNIF. But if it were in Latin, it would be knife. It would be very phonetic. So you have nothing to worry about. Just read it as you see it. Pronounce it easily. Okay? Now tell me what else.
Other things are technically it is not possible to remember all the maxims. Okay. So
Impossible. It's impossible. No one in the world will be able to do it.
so what is the best way to use and recall them and learn them? So is there any topic in book inside?
Learn them the way I did. It took me a few months to do it. Learn
Okay.
it the way I did. Read each and every one of these 1,000 maxims, understand them, make the notes. There are some which are irrelevant. You'll never come across them, and I don't even know why they are there in the book. A few of them, maybe 10%, are totally not useless, but not of use to us. But
Thank you very much, sir.
take a book,
Yeah.
go through it. See, you don't have to read 1,000 at a time, but at least 10, 20 of them at every day. Mark it. Unless you mark it in the book, you will never be able. You must spoil the book with your marking. As many markings as possible. So each one. And then, if are you a practicing lawyer?
No, sir, I'm a student, finally a student, engineer, chemical engineer.
Yeah. You told me. I'm sorry, I forget. The sound, the voice sounded different. Now, when you practice law and you are reading maxims at the same time, you will find, see, no case gets over within a day, except of course when Bapoo Malcolm is there. Cases drag on for a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is. When you read the maxims, you will find that some maxim or the other is relevant to your pleadings. You can use that maxim in your pleadings or understand that maxim according to what you are arguing. I'm not saying that you pick up a maxim from a book. It's not that easy. It is not annotated. So first thing is the pronunciation. It's easy. The second thing is It's not easy to pick up a. See, they used to, at school, they used to tell you that think of one word. So your students are interested in that. It's an out of the way thing. That is why I feel we should discuss it. No one discusses Latin Maxim, no one discusses doctrines. Anyway, thanks a lot, Malvika. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Malcolm.
We have to take you to that movie.
Yes, yes, yes.